Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see you today. I'm on a Monday today, and what better day? So many people today are snowed in, getting storms. And so we're so glad that you're here with us today on my I Love Learning podcast, where we explore leadership, learning science, and workplace learning and personal transformation. I'm Dr. Gina Anderson. I'm a learning scientist, a CEO and co founder of Luma Brighter Learning, and I am a passionate believer that learning in small actions can spark extraordinary change. And if you've been watching this season, it's all about the power of small, where we explore how tiny habits, mindset shifts, and everyday learning moments can lead to meaningful transformation in your work, in your relationships, and in your life. I'm so excited because today I'm going to have an amazing guest join me shortly here on screen. But Chloé Beltran is a professional whose career has been shaped by living and working. She's worked, I just talked to her. She lives in like three places, but she works across cultures and disciplines. She was born outside Paris and she was raised in Philadelphia, and she has spent her life navigating two worlds and building connections, something I love, as you all know, between people, between cultures, and between countries. She began her actual career in the United States as a mental health therapist in Chicago, and she provided individual and group therapy, helping clients navigate complex emotional challenges through counseling and something beautiful, art therapy. I'm so excited to have her. Today, she brings those same listening and relationship building skills into the world of transportation technology as a customer success manager at Dashdoc, where she helps adapt European transportation management systems for the US market, while she's still supporting French clients deploy the platform. So, her unique journey from therapy to technology highlights the power of transferable skills across culture, awareness, and lifelong learning. And I'm so excited to have her here today because we're going to explore how learning to listen, to adapt, and can help build bridges across cultures. And it can open unexpected career paths and create meaningful impact. So, today, if you like our conversation about leadership and learning and personal growth, please be sure to follow the podcast and share it. Like it on YouTube so more people can hear about the power of connection. And if something inspires you today, I'm going to bring her on stage. Be sure to leave a comment because I'd love to hear how small changes can make a big impact in your life. Chloé, thank you so much for joining me today. Please tell everyone what you're passionate about. And thank you so much for such a beautiful career that you've had so far and what you've done to impact so many people's lives.
Gina, thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. It's such an honor to be here. I love seeing everything that you do and everything that Luma does. So I'm just overjoyed to be here
Oh,
right now on this Monday.
I
And
loved it.
yes, yeah, I'm currently in Nashville, and last night we had a bunch of severe thunderstorms and tornado
Oh,
warnings. So I'm happy that today's a new day. Here we go. No tornadoes so far, and it's just
yeah.
a joy to be here.
I
So
love it so much. So tell me a little bit about your passion. So I know that you've done a lot and you've like worked with mental health and art therapy. And as you know, I started my podcast because drivers were saying they were depressed and they wanted options to really help them overcome, these mental roadblocks that they're having. And so talk a little bit about your passion and why that drives you every day.
yeah, one of my biggest passions is people. Is
Oh,
honestly, it's something that I would tell my clients in the past was it's hard to be a human, and we're
mm,
just a bunch of humans trying to figure out what it means to be alive and to connect to each other while doing that. So I really am so passionate about the ways in which people are able to keep living after really hard experiences, or when they're doing a job that can be, particularly isolating, like driving, and still
Mm,
find ways of, connecting with other folks, either, in their own personal life or even
mm.
professionally with, other drivers and other folks in transportation.
I love that. What do you think? I mean, this season's all about the power of small. And one of the reasons why I focus on this is because I think sometimes people think, oh gosh, people like, I have to go join a pickleball team or I have to go volunteer my time. And really, this is truly about small moments that can make a big difference in our lives. What do you think? Like your experience has been maybe one but small but mighty moment that really impacted you or changed everything with how you like interfused your passion in your life.
Yeah. So when I first started therapy work, I kind of came in thinking, okay, well, how I'm really going to help someone is by making sure that they're not depressed anymore. They don't have any bad thoughts.
Mm,
That was so wrong. I had a mentor at the time who I remember after a particularly hard group session, she said, Chloe, it's a win when someone is able to just spend that time without, doing something to themselves or other people. She's like,
mm,
and that really stuck with me to say that the small moments are so impactful. And even just saying hi to someone in the grocery store.
mhm.
I know that, like, if I'm having a tough day, if someone even just smiles at me in the airport, like, I think I'm feeling,
Yes.
so much better.
I love that. I love that. I carry with me in my bag, I carry different types of stickers and I'll give them to people. So, like, you're a winner, and I give it to somebody, or I say, I see you, and I give it to somebody, or write a note on a rainbow card. And it changes. It changes everything. And not only releases dopamine for me, so I feel better, but you can tell it changed their whole entire day. And so I love that you promote this, just small moment that you can have with another person that can change everything. That's so beautiful. What do you do to keep you happy? Like what's something that you could recommend to somebody listening today that is feeling down or, doesn't know how to take that step forward? What do you do to stay happy and engaged and curious?
Yeah, I I do a combination of things. One of my top things is dancing. So I'll put on a
Oh,
song.
I love
Yes,
that.
yes. And especially, like I'll go to a bathroom, or even, nobody saw this, but in the first, 24 seconds
Mhm.
before we went live, there was that little music playing and I was just dancing in the background. So
Yeah.
I'm always doing some dancing. And then on the other side of that is I kind of see ourselves as one big, holistic balancing act. And
Mm.
if I know that there's a part of me that, needs to cry at some point, I will watch
Mhm.
movies to make myself cry, like when it's,
Yes.
because then afterwards, once that's out of me, or if I go work out, just doing something to get that energy out, I know it's going to be so much easier to invite joy
Wow.
and to invite
Mm.
connection and to invite the capacity to be able to, feel some sunshine and be some sunshine.
I love that how you say inviting joy into your life. That's beautiful. I love that you say that. You have to invite these moments in and welcome them in and be open to it. Is there something, how did you learn this? Was this something that like you read a book or was it something in your life that impacted you to kind of see life in this new way? It's like what happened that like how'd you approach life in this way?
Yeah, it's a combination of things.
Mm,
I was really blessed with some friends when I was growing up who were much older than I was, but
mm.
that were very kind, and who, had their own traumas, and I was figuring out, basically how, what is living a life post trauma. I saw that recently you had
Mm.
Raquel Sosa on your
Yes.
podcast, and I
Mm.
listened to what she had to say, and I totally, agree with everything that she's saying. And when I was a teenager, and an early or young adult, I was really struggling with, these heavy feelings. I was struggling with
Mm.
expressing myself. And I had these friends that I met at a community art center,
Oh,
who, yeah, basically kind of took me aside and said, okay, like I see myself in you, and I see what you've gone through, and this is what I've gone through. And that kind of like started this, it opened up my mind to seeing, okay, life, this kind of life is possible after
oh.
these experiences. And then when I was a therapist, I learned a technique called EMDR, which is
Mm.
eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And it was used a lot with veterans. It's, typically kind of a go-to for PTSD.
Mm.
It's very helpful in helping rewiring, the neural networks that we have. And during this training, it really solidified that, honestly, when we're doing heavy work, sometimes not it's not so much looking at, the terrible things, the hard things in the face. That's part of it, but then the other part of it is that we have to increase our capacity to be able to hold the good things too.
Oh, I love that. That's
Mhm.
so beautiful. I have to share this because I saw it over the weekend and it just made me think of it. Somebody has a tattoo parlor and somebody came in and asked if they could have like a number printed on like tattooed on their arm. And it was like 1039, for example. And the tattoo artist said, well, what does that number represent? And the person said that they lost their daughter, but they what they didn't want the tattoo artist to know was that the thing is they don't want them to remember the day that they lost the daughter, but the fact that the daughter really tried for 1039
Mm,
days. Those are the days that they were sober and really trying for that number of days before the person took their life. And this post that I read, and I read this story, it's like this tattoo artist, people have been coming all over the world to her to have different numbers put on. And the idea is that everyone tries, and even if it's 0 days it's tattooed on, it's the effort that that person really tried. And I think about that a lot because we all know somebody or have known someone who has unfortunately not, moved on. And one of the things with this podcast is I really, people have reached out to me and said they've lost their passion.
mm,
And the thing is, I tell them, and I think of this story from yesterday, and I'd love to get your advice on this, but like, look at all the days that you did have passion. Like, you may
yeah,
have had, like, even if it was a day, like something like to look forward to. And what advice would you have for someone listening that feels stuck?
mm,
That really feels like they've lost their passion for learning. I'm a learning scientist, so for
yeah,
me, it's like learning is everything, right?
I love it.
So,
Yeah,
what would we tell them? I want them to have a number. I mean, I want the number to be endless for them, but what would
yeah.
you recommend for that person for their next step towards passion?
Yeah, first I would slow down and, tell them to take like a nice inhale and an even longer exhale. And then, sometimes we can be more hard on ourselves than anyone else in the room. And
Hmm.
so I would maybe, like invite you or whoever to, kind of imagine the part of you that doesn't feel passion, almost like a puppy or a cat. And, if you see a sad dog or a sad cat, like I mean, you would probably want to cuddle it. You'd probably want to, offer it some food, you'd probably want to take it outside to kind of, not treat yourself, like an animal, but more so, treat yourself with some kindness. treat yourself
Oh,
with some gentleness, because I think, passion is so beautiful, but the other thing too is we have to be in a space where we're ready to take on more information. And so oftentimes I've seen that when people lose their passions, sometimes they're burnt out, sometimes they're run down, sometimes they haven't been able to sleep that well, for a couple weeks. Like there's something stressful happening. And so I'm very much a love person. I love to
yeah.
bring in love, bring in kindness. Obviously,
Oh, love that.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes we need to say, okay, right? Like, um, I need to make sure, like uh, a loving boundary towards myself would be that I have to spend at least 15 minutes outside. I have to spend at least
Mm,
20 minutes moving some part of
mm,
my body while feeling the air, even if it's cold, but just something to kind of shake up
mhm.
our brains a little bit.
That is so beautiful. I love the fact that you just said give yourself kindness and give yourself grace. It's okay you don't have to be sunshine every day. Nobody is, right? I mean, it's like, come on, like there's a lot going on. And, I think that just giving yourself a time to pause and reset is so important. Thank you so much for sharing that. What is some advice? What do you want to leave today as advice for any listener, or what kind of moment would you want? Just your lasting message to our audience today?
Okay, might sound a little bit strange, but I would say trust your step, right? Like in my life, I've ended up in a place where I've never expected to end up in. I never thought I would even, last this long. I don't want to say last this long, but that I wouldn't, get to this age. And I think something that I invite everyone to hold on to is when you're in a moment in your life, even if you feel unsure about what you're doing, even if you feel unsure about the future, just trust your step. Trust that even if you take a step and you slip, you're going to be able to take another step. And there's always people around us. So if you ever find yourself on the ground, there's going to be someone who notices. And sometimes all we need to do is ask for help, or if it's someone that really is attentive. But sometimes it's not often, but like we're we're all taking our steps together.
I love that. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that I met you. I'm so grateful that you
Oh, thank
are,
you.
yes, and I'm so grateful that you're there and you can spread love and light and connect with people across cultures and across barriers and letting them know to take their step and that they matter. So, thank you so much and keep doing what you're doing. If someone wants to reach you or learn more about, I don't know, your work, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can also, I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else. To be quite honest, I think LinkedIn is the
Okay.
number one. I also have my email with Dashdoc.
Mhm.
Um, and those two would be the best places. So my email would just be chloe.beltran@dashdoc.com.
All right, awesome. Well, Chloe, thank you so much for being here
Thank
with me today.
you.
I appreciate you. Until next
I
time.
appreciate you, Dr. Gina. Thank you
Oh,
so much for this
oh, you
honor.
bet.
Yes, thank
Oh,
you,
thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, she was so great. You all should connect with her. If you like the podcast, be sure to follow, like, share. And because the more we do that, the more people will get the information. And then we know that the people need connection more than anything, and that learning changes and saves lives. So thank you so much. And until next Thursday, I'll be back. Until then, be kind, be well, and just be kind to each other, because that's what the world needs more of.